By the way, I'm short one of these. If anybody sees one of these floating around here, see if we can short one from my primary table. Appreciate it. Okay. So, pass those around and see. So that gets you tires, that gets you casters for nothing. So we reduce this down. So bottom line, if you used a piece of wood or something like that, you find a caster off of something on that, this would be about $20 over and that processor board, probably 25, somewhere in that range, but definitely under $30, you'll be able to have one. Now, for me, I've been doing robotics for 10, 20 years, and I've done industrial robots back in the 80s and such. So I've done most of the things that I want to experiment with one robot. So what I'm interested in now is modular bots with bots that are pieces that connect together, or swarming bots where I have a bunch of little bots running around and I want to see the interactions and what they can do together. So that's why I decided to build the Army. So I went out and literally bought a dozen of these frames, and I'm building them all up. So once it's done, once you've added power, you basically get this piece. It has two motors, caster, a power, a battery holder of some kind, and a standoff, and a piece of plastic on the top. This makes a drive module. The nice thing about the robot chassis is that we also have accessory packs that you can buy from Parallax right off the shelf, like there's a tank tread kit that just goes and bolts right onto this directly, uses, and will tie right into those motors. There's also the crawler kit. It's a 6-legged walker. So you can add this on and have different kinds of drivetrains. Another drivetrain option would be an omnidirectional drive or a mechanism drive, which allows it to move in all directions, different kinds of tires. And that's why we moved to this kind of construction instead of the robot. So I can literally take these off by just popping them off and move the different motors around and put omni wheels on them. And so I can have a wide selection of drives that I can work with. On top of it, you then take your processor board and another piece of plastic and you mount it to it. Okay, with a little bit of spacing on there, and then you use Velcro. Literally, just Velcro that right onto the drivetrain. So I have processor boards here, which people can come and check out. So my primary one is going to be a propeller, of course. This is the General for the Army. But I also have a standard Mobot, which is a basic Stamp 2. I have an Arduino, so anybody that's doing Make Magazine, they're really big on Arduinos in that one. And this is the BBB board, it's the bare bones board, which costs about $12. And it gives an Arduino, so if you want to use the processing language and be able to develop code for something that you want to publish in Make Magazine, I can drop one of those onto it. I also have Atmel processors. This was left over from a previous inexpensive bot, which is just an Atmel processor, literally built up on a photo strip. Just tie that to a board, and that goes out. So my standard, so to speak, will consist of this drivetrain. This connector is that same M-size connector that is the most common connector that you can find on all boards. And you go to Radio Shack and get the mating plug for it. So this board will just, all it has to have, the processor board, is to have a socket for this wired over to the power side of your board. And then this one would have another pigtail, and it would daisy chain the raw power up to as many layers as you want to put on it. So when the processor boards are finished, this one, I have the tops off of these right now, but I basically have a couple of spots here for a spacer and another layer of plastic. So now this becomes just a stackable sandwich with Velcro. And by the way, if anybody has a Michaels in their area, you can go online and there's a 40% off one item that you get from their being on their email, and occasionally they'll send you a 50% off. Use that to go over and buy the big reel of Velcro. And that will get you a giant reel of Velcro, more Velcro system. So that's most of the other item that everybody should be aware of is the VEX add-on transmitter receiver kits. These were remainder. VEX is a robot manufacturer, Innovation First Incorporated, and these were used for their little set robot systems. They used to sell these. Remember those in Radio Shack? We used to have the VEX starter kits, V.5, and they would have one of these in it, but this was the add-on transmitter and receiver kit. The receiver is mounted on here, like this little yellow block, and this is crystal control. The problem that they ran into is VEX became very popular very fast, and there was only about 10 channels, and they would come up to a competition with 100 participants, and they'd have a problem. So they redesigned this with a Wi-Fi, so they could have hundreds of robots in the same location, and they're selling these off. These transmitter receiver, I guess Robert had some. You still have any left? He sold out. But you will typically find these on the net, transmitter and receiver with crystals, anywhere from $30 to $50. And that gives you a 75 megahertz system. Now, if anybody has worked with radio control, there are several bands to operate. The first band that you will typically find, that you go to a hobby store and you buy a transmitter with these kind of joysticks, and a receiver set will be 72 megahertz. That is restricted by law to aircraft only. To the surface ones are 75 megahertz. That's what this system's on. If you go to a hobby store and try to get a 75 megahertz radio control package, you will typically get a throttle with pistol grip and a steering knob for a racing car. In order to get this kind of stick, you will typically have to special order, and it'll be anywhere from $150 to $250 for the transmitter, receiver, and the entire package. So you don't want to do that. Go find some of these, go online and search for VEX transmitter add-on kit. And you'll find them on eBay and find them in all electronics had some of them that are getting low. But these are really nice. These are 6-channel radio controls. You have 4 channels here, analog, and the other 2 channels are buttons on the back, which will set different values. Now I said, okay, now I got this transmitter receiver, how am I going to work it out? Well, it turns out on the object exchange, there's a free downloadable object that is a VEX decoder. And you go up there, the receiver is basically power ground to the data lead. So 4 leads? No, just the 3 leads. And the data lead goes into 1 pin. And you download that object, and it will decode the data stream and put it in a structure for you, ready to roll. So that's available for free on OBEX. And so once you have this much, my intent here is the general is going to have a VEX receiver, so I can command it directly. From there, I want to do experiments with things like platooning, where one would go, another robot would follow this robot, it's like a mama duck and baby ducks. Or if I wanted to decide to do a project where I want to have this bot recharge itself and I want to do some hardware, I just grab one of these that are already built off the shelf and go to it. Most of us, have regular jobs. You will find that if you get an idea, oh, I want to go try this, I want to try adding this new ultrasonic sensor, I want to do something else. Well, it's going to be about a month of spare time on your weekends just to build up the platform to get you to the point where you can start experimenting with the thing you want to do. If you pre-build, use your processor and make some inexpensive platforms like this, now when you